Hey everybody, this is Craig Hardesty with Out on Film, and I want to welcome all of you to another Out on Film Conversations with. Today, we are in the midst of a holiday season, and I'm very, very excited to be celebrating this season today with the team behind a new holiday film, The Higher Spirit. I want to welcome all of you to Out on Film today. I'm going to start with writer and co-director B. Danielle Watkins. And B. Danielle, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself and the role in the film that you have and your team here.
Okie dokie. Well, hello, everyone. I am B. Danielle Watkins. I'm the writer and also one of the producers and directors for The Higher Spirit. We also have my co-director here, Onyx Keisha. Say hello.
Hello.
And then we have three of the amazing stars. So we're going to start with Veronica Wood, starring as Patricia Ma Pat Higher Mills.
Hello, everybody.
And then I'm going to move over to Zinja Dunn, who is starring as Samantha Mantha Higher Mills. And then we have Daphne Dunning, who plays Smith Higher Mills.
Hi, everyone.
So welcome all of you to Out on Film, and thank you so much for joining us today to talk about the film. So what I just always like to start, and B. Danielle, I will start with you as the writer. You brought this film to life and to us also. Tell us a little bit about how you came to tell this story and why you picked now to tell it.
Well, we actually came up with this last year during the pandemic. Onyx and I were in Florida, and per usual, she was begging me to write a Christmas movie, and I was saying no. And she's like, no, we really need to do it. People need a holiday cheer this year, you know, with the pandemic and other things that were going on. And we hadn't done a holiday feature since 2016. So we were like, okay, well, actually, I wasn't like, okay. I was like, well, let's talk about it a little bit and let's see where it goes. And we were standing in the Airbnb, and then we just started talking. And as I started pacing the floor, we started developing this family, you know, and it was like, okay, this probably is a story that needs to be told. And then, you know, we came up with the trans storyline and the bisexual storyline and the family factor of it. And it was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna write it. And then in July, it was finished, and we were casting in August of 2020.
Excellent. And Onyx, once you read this, I mean, how did you embrace this project? What did it actually mean to you to come aboard and kind of read this and take this on?
Well, I absolutely love Christmas. And when I start talking Christmas movies, I always say, you know, I want Santa and Jesus and family. And, you know, when I read this particular script, I fell in love with it because family and God are such a central storyline. And I thought it was absolutely amazing. And I was ready to kind of dive in and help bring it to life.
And then for each of the actors, how was it that you came to be a part of this project? And Veronica, I'll start with you.
Oh, wait a minute. Say it again. My little goddaughter was talking.
Okay.
I can hear you.
I just kind of talk to us a little bit about how you came to be involved in this project.
Actually, I was on Facebook, and I saw that they were looking for an actress my age, you know, someone that wanted to play this part. And so this is actually like my first time ever doing anything like this. And so when I saw it, I said, hey, let me go for it, you know. So I read the part, and then when B. Danielle reached out to me, I thought, really, me personally, I thought it was a joke. I was like, is she serious right now, you know? And she's like, no, I'm serious, you know, come to my house and do a reading with Samantha Zinja, and then we'll go from there. And I was just like, okay. And all this time I'm just like blown away, like this can't be, you know, this can't be real. So when I got there and I saw it and I saw her and I met Zenja and just everything came together, Onyx and Gino, I just was like, wow, we're really gonna do this. So, I was excited. So that's how I came about it. And I'm just so thankful for all of them, I really am.
And Zinja, as the matriarch of this family, the driving force behind this family with Mantha, how did you come to this character and want to tell this portion of the story?
Wow. Okay. So I'm just gonna say, Onyx, Keisha. There's no time when she calls you and says do something where you can. The first thought is no, like it just doesn't happen. So the first thing she did is she called and she was like, will you do this? I'm doing a table read for this. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll do a table read. Like, we're actresses. Yeah, anytime. Then she sent me the script and I was like, oh my God, this is so good. So we do the table read. I don't give really any word on how it went, but it sounded good. Gino was on the line. We had directors and everything. But if you've been in any portion of, I've done hundreds of table reads. It doesn't mean you're going to land the role. You're hoping for the best. So I get the call. Again, we show up and I thought another person was going to play my wife. And I was familiar with that person. So when I got to be Danielle's apartment and it was somebody else, I was like, okay, so chemistry read, fine, let's do it. So we did it. It turned out amazing. And honestly, I just loved the relationship. It didn't matter that it was LGBTQ or whatever. I loved the fact that these two people had been together as long as they had, and you change in life and the things you want change. And to see that between two people who just happen to be the same sex, I thought was interesting.
Wow.
And Daphne, how did you come to this project?
So I too was invited to a table read. I actually so I didn't actually read the full script before the table read, and I was pretty much reading through the night of the table read, and I was kind of freaking out because I didn't know what was going to happen after that. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, I was panicking because I'd never been in a feature film as a leading character. I've been, like a background or have one line here or there, but never to this magnitude. And when I got the opportunity, and I was familiar with someone else that was going to be in it, and I said, okay, well, I'll do it because they're going to do it. And I became Smith, and we end up developing this family, going through a boot camp where we got to know each other, and I learned about the community, and it just went from there. But I'm so glad I did the table read. For sure.
Now, I'm going to say, I always love a good Christmas miracle movie. It is like, I'm a sucker for them.
Me too.
I love them. And recently, and I mean like really recently, like the past like maybe 2 years, it seems like we've gotten at least some queer Christmas miracle movies, which is like really, really great. So for Onyx and Danielle, talk a little bit about, the importance of telling, queer stories in all of the different facets that we have and genres, because, we need a good Christmas miracle movie too.
Absolutely. Well, our first Christmas film was really at a time where there were none.
Right.
And it was just very important to normalize so many aspects of the queer experience for people who are not in the community. To show that we love, we hurt, we have anxiety, we are the same. And so Christmas is a time that I feel like many people can relate to. many people tend to suspend their differences because they're connecting. And so holiday film to me really seems like the perfect time to show not only a reflection of ourselves to the community, but also show people who are outside of the community how really connected we really are.
Yeah, representation is really important to us. Anybody that's familiar with our work understands that, and they understand that we want to show a true picture, a true idealization of the Black queer experience and what that looks like and what it looks like to us from the inside, because a lot of people are telling our stories that know nothing about us.
Right.
So as two Black women, queer filmmakers and storytellers, it is very important to us to ensure that we are telling the stories as authentically as possible as they're being lived in our work. And in Christmas film, or in the holiday film, because it's not, always just
Right.
Christmas, it's very important that we're included, because a lot of the films don't.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And I think, and so much of like what we do at Out on Film is, promoting queer storytellers and our stories, as only I think that we can tell them. And I think you can tell in this film, because one of the things that I thought all of you captured so eloquently and movingly is our chosen families.
Yes.
And how important and what a role our chosen families play in all of our lives. And I thought that as I was watching the film, it was one of the things that it just made my heart warm, because no one really tells that story of our chosen families and what that means to us. And so, I think, for Daphne, I'm curious, as you and your sisters are kind of, you formed this family, how did you all kind of see this and see your role in creating these siblings that you brought to life?
Well, as I mentioned, the boot camp, we had an actors boot camp that Onyx Keisha hosts. I think she actually has like a complete program. I'm plugging that for her because it's great. We developed our relationship over a weekend. The funny thing is, we did a photo shoot for the movie before filming, and it was actually our first time meeting each other, and we basically had to break the ice. Rakai, who plays, I guess you can call her my antagonist, Hannah, the sister that I was always at her throat, that was one of the first people that I met, and I asked her to do my makeup. I asked her to help me with my makeup, and we start developing there. And believe it or not, even though we had to be at each other's throat throughout the film, that's probably the one person I got really close with the entire time, even though I got close with pretty much everyone. But that's like family for real to me now. Actually, all of them. But I think that moment, and even how B. Danielle and Onyx are strategic thinkers. So so the first thing was the awkward, the photo shoot with people you never know, so you have to break the ice. But then they hosted myself and the character B. Elise that plays my wife. We stayed in an Airbnb, and we were at the Airbnb together, and we'd never met or anything, and we had to break the ice and get to know each other. And next thing you know, we're talking about music and everything and going over lines, and we really did develop a friendship. So what you see on screen is us actually having a real relationship and a connection, and it was almost like a miracle. It just happened for us because we were kind of forced into that bubble, and it worked.
Well, and I think as Onyx, you and B. Danielle are directing, I mean, part of what is so nice about the relationships in this film and the way that you portray this family is that you can be as any of us are. We're at each other's throats, but we're also sleeping in the same bed, and all of that seems very normal.
Yeah, it's real life. It is real life.
It's like we can be fighting and eating off each other's plates at the same time. I mean, and so how do you kind of, as you approach, as Stephanie's saying, people don't know each other, may not know a lot about chosen families and what this means to us. Kind of what is your process for bringing everybody together and creating this dynamic that is authentic and moving?
Well, like Daphne said, we're pretty strategic. We have been doing this for a lot of years.
Right.
So we know the importance of having an opportunity to connect off camera and to learn. Every boot camp that I have ever done, someone has ended up crying, being vulnerable, because we really create a safe space, because that's where the magic of acting can happen. Also, that photo shoot, we had an actress tell us at the end, like, I really think you should have done the photo shoot last. And we're like, oh no.
And we never do. We always do it like this. It's purposeful.
Yeah, because it forces everyone to get comfortable really fast and to get those nerves out. So it really just is about building the connection and understanding that acting is really being. So whatever you're feeling in the moment, in the context of the situation we give you, that's what we're going to build upon.
And may I add something about that boot camp though, and the community? So I guess I'm straight, and I didn't know as much. I've always called myself an ally, but I didn't know as much as I learned in that boot camp. So for those of us who weren't a part of the community, we had one person, I call her the resident queer encyclopedia, because everything that I wanted to know, I learned in that weekend, and it was so mind-blowing. I am very cognizant about what I say, how I say it, because I want to make sure I'm politically correct. But that weekend, I learned so much about the community. I remember going on Facebook and just talking about how mind blown I was, because I learned a lot. And I think being educated, and I think that's part of the problem why not enough people are embracing it, because they aren't educated. So having that knowledge and learning about the community made it that much easier for me to pick up and play the role of Smith in this, this family that we picked, our chosen family.
Who was the queer encyclopedia?
Beans.
Beans. You're right. Okay. Y'all would be having those conversations. Those are conversations.
I text Beans yesterday. Beans is still
I was like, wait a minute. Yes, there were a couple of absolutely. Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Considering myself an ally, my mother used to say, me and my best friend growing up, she used to say, that's your gay husband. I'd be like, watch what you put into the universe. Because I love our our group, but I'm looking for a straight man,
Right.
But she said that, I'd be like, don't speak that into my life. But absolutely, understanding first and foremost that love is love, family is family. Yes. But the boot camp, it created, like, once you've given us, just like you said, been vulnerable, once you've talked about ways that, whether it has something to do with being queer or not, ways that you've been had things done against you or abused or whatever, once you share that with a group of people, I feel like those are some of the reasons why we felt protective of one another. It's why I had a connection to each and every person on there who in the story we adopted, but became a part of our family. So I definitely, that boot camp, whatever you need to do to put that out there so that people understand what that creates. It was amazing. It was amazing.
I love the plugs.
It was amazing.
And Zinja and Veronica, as part of that, in this family, one of the things that I very much appreciated was the fact that we also have our own biases. We're not often readily accepting, and I think part of the storyline is Zenja, you and Veronica as Mantha and Mapat are going through, as Mapat's announcing a transition, Mantha's not terribly accepting, and we don't often talk
And or supportive, you could say it.
right, or supportive. We don't often talk about that. We have one of the daughters who's coming home with a boyfriend that freaks everybody out, and I very much appreciate it. The honesty of our own reactions to things that we often are in our lane, and it's like, well, I'm not getting out of my lane.
Right.
So talk a
Well,
little bit
boxes are boxes. I think
Boxes are
boxes are
boxes.
human. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Talk a little bit about how you approach this as a couple on screen, and kind of working through accepting your family, maybe not your partner, and moving back and forth between all of that.
Well, I think it's like in most relationships, we hear what we want to hear about the person we love, right? So yeah, there was whispers. Yeah, there was, I think this might be who I am, but that's not who I married. That's not who I fell in love with. If I am a, queer woman who loves women, that this is a problem, what you're talking about. And then this is the time, when the kids come home, we get to nest, everybody gonna be, really, this is the time you choose to share that with people? Like that, I couldn't wrap my mind around that. Well, the character, and then Veronica was so good to me at just looking at me going, it's happening. and even in my, okay, well, man, I'm gonna wait till dinner. Okay, I'm gonna wait till we alone tonight. Okay, because I'm there's a way that this can't happen, that I'm still trying to hold everything together. It's what we do over the holidays. I don't care who's gonna come out and say whatever they're gonna do. Dinner is going to be perfect. The tree will be here. You see what I'm saying? There were still things that I needed to do. And then I just have to give such kudos to B. Danielle's writing.
Man.
As an actor, you really can't, it's gotta be in the words. The words have to support the feeling. And I think she made it very clear that Mantha loved Ma Pat as Ma Pat.
Right.
Period.
Right. Mantha did not want to entertain Patrick or any other situation. So between the words and just really dealing in relationships, we want people to be who they are. And it's difficult in whatever you want to call a relationship. I don't mean regular, but in any relationship, it's difficult to accept if somebody wants something outside of the box that you put them in.
Right.
So that's my part of that. Go ahead, Ron.
Hilarious. Oh my God. Do you see what I had to go through?
You loved it.
It was definitely an experience, and boy, I'm telling you, I couldn't have done it without Samantha though, because she pulled it out of me. She pulled it out of me. But I was so adamant about, that character just really just transferring. I had to go ahead. I'm going to make this transformation. Period. So I love you, honey, and the kids are grown in my eyes, so I can do what I want to right now.
They will always be my babies, though.
That is so real.
What do you do with that? You just love her. You just love her, and I still do what I do. Make the transformation.
So great is that we always want to make these announcements at the holidays.
Yeah.
I know y'all picked this on purpose, because it's like, why are you picking today?
Hey.
And then even when I started reading the movie, I was like, what's going to be the reveal? Everybody's already out.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The reveal is me.
And you played it so well, Veronica. It's like every time Mantha said no, it's just, you could see your shoulders just like, it's going to happen.
Right.
I'm not going to fight it today.
I'm telling you, boy, I couldn't have done it without them all. Like I said, this was my first run at acting, and I was very nervous, but everybody helped me through it, and like they said, that boot camp was excellent. And B. Danielle stayed on me Oh, that was like the second wife or something. I don't know. She was always on my head, but hey, I
And
pulled it through.
look what came out of it. Look how amazing you were. Had
Absolutely.
I left you alone, we wouldn't be on here right now. That's all I'm saying.
This is so true. This is so true. So I have to thank her for that. But man, it's an incredible movie, and I was so happy to be a part of it.
And then Daphne, I mean, as you've said, this is one of your first major parts, and you have a pretty strong moment there during this reveal as the bossy daughter.
Mm-hmm.
How did you kind of pull through that scene and kind of prepare and do that, both Smith's being bossy but also maintaining the love that Smith has for everybody?
Well, I am the oldest child in my real life.
Okay.
So I'm always, I am the person there are pieces of Smith that are me. And all I did was become myself. Not the big party scene, that took a lot out of me. We actually practiced it. We rehearsed it the weekend of boot camp. And it was a bit of a challenge, but I took some moments that I had in life because I was going through some things in 2020. We all were. And I pulled some of that frustration out, and I had it in that moment. But I feel like I could have probably done it even larger than that one big moment, but I just pulled some of my own personal thoughts. And like I said, I'm the oldest of the family, and I have some Smith tendencies.
And so, Danielle, as you've listened to everybody, you wrote this script and you brought this story to us. As they've talked about their experiences and your experiences directing, what is something that you hope both a young queer kid coming upon this, queer woman of color, and then also a parent, what do you hope connects them to this film, or that they would walk away from watching this? What's your hope?
My hope is that people see it and realize it's okay. Everything is gonna be okay. At the end of the day, your family will still love you, whether they're upset or not. Your family is still gonna love you. They're still gonna have your back. Who you are is who you are. And as long as you stand strong in that, no matter what it is, that it's important. And even with parents, to see kids are different. Everybody is different. And all of that is still okay.
And Onyx, what is, I think there's a part of every story as an artist that lives with you. What part of this story is going to stay with you?
So I really feel like this idea that we don't have compassion for people who judge us. It's easy when you're judged to be really offended, right? But we have to sometimes have compassion and understanding for the biases that people come to us with, because here we are in a family who from the outside is like, why would you judge, be angry, upset about anything? But we have all these situations, the sex working that is judged. We have the transition. We have now bringing a boyfriend home. And I think to see that as part of the community, you're able to check yourself because you have some understanding, because it's a reflection. And so that can really help with when you're dealing with biases outside. It doesn't make it right, but it's so important to have some sort of compassion and understanding so together we can work through it. Because what would have happened if when Shane brought her man home, that was just it. It's done, it's over, how we react, but they worked through it, and even with the transition, they're working through it. Right. And so just overall, I feel like we have to work through our differences.
And one of the things that happens is, even as the family is working through differences, there may be judgments going on. There was never a sense that this family was breaking up.
Oh yeah.
Like,
No.
we're staying in this house.
No.
Yeah,
No.
not at all.
Christmas.
No. No.
We scream, we do, we'll stare. I mean, we'll freak out, but there was no always a sense. And I think one of the things, and Mantha, I'll bring it to you, that Mantha just accepted in the end, accepts everybody. No, I mean, there is just not a chance that people are not going to be part of this family. And as you kind of work through this role and that message, kind of what part of that stays with you going forward?
Wow. Great question, first of all. But the maternal instinct that is Mantha, the love that flows through all of it, even her anger with Ma Pat, is simply because of how much she loves her. And again, we talked a little bit about, even in this family, with all of these different situations going around, I want my children to be happy. I want them to be safe. So what sticks with me is, I guess, B. Danielle said it eloquently, it's all going to be okay. And at the end of the day, I will always provide a home for these people. You know what I mean? Like home is what you make it. But also, once you recognize it and acknowledge it, then hopefully, in the midst of everything going on in life, that's what you keep with you. That this feels safe, this feels good, this feels loved. And if you don't have that, it's that you know that you can go out and create that for yourself.
Absolutely.
And Veronica, what part of Ma Pat will stay with you?
Oh,
Aside from the great shoulder.
just the fact is how courageous she was, just how courageous she was. And then, even though it was a hard thing for Samantha, like Samantha, I love my family as well, but this was something that just I really needed to do. So just how courageous Ma Pat was, and how she stood firm in what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And Daphne, what part of this sisterhood do you hope that people take from all of you portraying these sisters? What do you hope that people walk away from, having experienced all of you together?
That no matter what the situation is, the circumstance, family is always first. You may have differences, but at the end of the day, you can still connect. You're still family. And that's really what I got from it. Even we had moments on set, and in my mind, they were still family to me. We may have gotten mad at one another, but we were still family, and we would protect each other. So I hope people set aside differences and within their own families, with their siblings or whomever, and know that, family is, put family first.
And then as we wrap up, B. Danielle and Onyx, what is next for the film? I know we're screening on Lesflix platform. What is going on and what is next for the film?
Well, next year we have signed with Maverick Distribution to be distributed on very significant, level platforms for the season of 2022. We already have a release date, is November 1st, 2022. They have so many plans, they have this marketing thing that is like huge, and I don't get it, but like they have this whole thing prepared for us for holiday season 2022, which will prepare us for the sequel for the film.
What?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ronnie. Welcome.
Sequel. All right.
Mantha and Pat's girlfriend fight. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I'm just throwing it out there.
That's right. Well, I want to thank all of you for joining us today and for this conversation. I want to thank you for bringing a queer holiday film for a queer audience that I think will speak to a lot of people in our community. So I want to thank you for bringing this story to all of us and sharing your art and your experience with everybody here at Out on Film. The film is The Higher Spirit. You can see it now at lesflix.com, and you should watch in the future for the next holiday season, where The Higher Spirit should be everywhere you look at. So, thank you all for joining us, and join us again for another installment of our Out on Film in Conversations With. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys.
Thank